Welcome, everybody. I'd like to open up the September the 7th, 2021 meeting. We will be going into closed session pursuant to 143, 318, 11A3 to consult with the town attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privileges between the attorney and the council, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. And also to pursue it to 143-318, 11A5 to instruct the public body staff concerning the position to be taken by or on the behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase. Also pursuant to 143, 318, 11A6 regarding a personal matter. Do I have a motion that we go in closed session? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting back to order, our September the 7th meeting. Do I have a motion to come out of the closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Everyone, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Does any member of council have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with regards to any item on the agenda? If so, please state at this time. Mr. Borman?
No.
Mr. Corbett?
No.
Mr. Nern?
No.
All right, moving on. Amendment and approval of the draft agenda. I have something that we need to put onto the agenda in regards to the DAR proclamation. Does anyone else have anything?
No.
No.
All right. Do I have a motion that we will add this to the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on. Action discussing from closed session. There was no action in closed session tonight. General counsel discussion. Mr. Borman, you have anything?
No, nothing to add.
Mr. Nern, you have anything today?
No.
Okay. Mr. Corbett?
Yes.
Okay.
Just remind everybody that on Saturday, September 11th, the town and the Committee to Honor American Veterans are going to be hosting a 9/11 20th anniversary remembrance ceremony at the town park at the memorial. It starts at 8:30. Bring your own chairs. And I want to say especially thank you to the staff, the committee members, and the citizens who volunteered to help them, who worked very hard to organize this event. So that's it.
Anyone else? All right, moving on to our public hearings. Do I have a motion that we open up the public hearing for the UDO Amendment Article 6 AF-1 zoning districts?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Council's meeting tonight in regards to a proposed UDO amendment to allow for accessory structures to residential uses, swimming pools, hot tubs, and privacy fence as a use that will be permitted with standards in the AF1 zoning district. Does anyone have anything? Is there anybody here for this public hearing? Does any member of council have anything?
Nothing.
Nope.
All right. Do I have a
I
motion
move that we close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, next up, we'll be doing the public hearing, Chapter 98, Section 9815, Street Standards. Second. This public hearing is in regards to the proposed revisions to Chapter 98, Section 9815, Specifications and Design Standards of Streets, Sidewalks, and Driveways. Does anyone have anything in this public hearing? Any member of council have anything?
Nope.
Nothing.
Do I have a motion that we close this
So-
public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Presentation, Sunset on Sunset. Mrs. Karen Joseph, you have the floor.
Thank you. Do you want me to do both of them now, or Sunset at Sunset and 9/11?
What do you think,
Are
Lisa?
they both not on there?
That's in a new business. Do we need to do that, or you want to wait till the end? Since she has both of them, do we need to wait, or? Go ahead. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. Sunset on Sunset first,
Okay.
please.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to give you an update on both of these events. As John said, on Saturday, we'll hold a ceremony in remembrance of September 11, 2001. This event is thanks to the efforts of the committee I chair, whose members include Mary Hughes, our fire chief, our assistant police chief, Lou DeVita, Cindy Stevenson. In addition, we have your support, which means a great deal to us, and the support of the Committee to Honor America's Veterans. The ceremony begins promptly at 8:30, and our goal is to ring a bell at precisely the times the planes hit their targets or lay on the ground, as in Pennsylvania. We anticipate the ceremony ending at approximately 10:30. I'm happy to answer any questions any of you might have.
Any member of council have any questions for Ms. Joseph in regards to this ceremony?
No questions, no.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
My second responsibility then is to report to you on Sunset at Sunset. Despite no festival last year and still having concerns regarding COVID-19, I'm pleased to report the following, that as of today, we have 123 participants, 83 craft vendors, 18 nonprofit organizations, 15 food vendors, which I know are always important, 7 booths sponsored by sponsors, and 16 sponsor businesses. We have been getting requests, even up to last week, to allow more vendors to be part of the festival. We know we have the space, so if they call upon us, we're going to let them in, assuming they pay the late fee. We have secured a 4-person hand sanitizing station to be placed in the food area to meet some people's concerns. The Sea and Sand Band, which is, its members are all located in Sea Trail, will provide the entertainment throughout the day and will, as they always do, donate their fee to local charities. As all of you will remember, letters sharing our prohibition of electioneering at the festival will be going out to all the candidates in the municipality election. Anyone violating this request will be asked to leave the festival. So those letters are sitting on my printer and they will go out in the next couple of days. Again, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And
Member of
if
council have
not,
any questions?
No questions. From
Do you have a rain date or any?
for any of these events,
for-
if it rains on Saturday and I don't kill
Not-
myself,
not the forecast.
we will go into Fire Station 1. They will empty the bay, and as many people as possible will go in there. This happened to us once before, but I don't remember if it was Memorial Day or Veterans Day. Do you remember? I don't remember.
It was one of those two.
One of those two, and we made it. We do not have a rain date for Sunset at Sunset. We've been very lucky in the past, and we'll just go with that and hold our breath. So,
What's the date for Sunset at Sunset?
first Saturday in October, October 2nd. And our only competition has canceled, so that's why we're getting more requests.
On behalf of the council, I want to thank you for coming out.
I'm sorry?
I said on behalf of the council and the town, thank you for making that
Well,
presentation.
you're
for
very
us.
welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
I look forward to seeing all of you Saturday.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Moving on to our public comments on agenda items only. Does anyone have any comments? Don't? All right, next up will be the consent agenda. This is in regards to the August 2nd, 2021 first regular meeting minutes, the August 17, 2021 second regular meeting minutes, the Building Inspection Department's July 21 report, Stormwater Department July 2020 report, Fire Department July the 2021 report, Finance Department July 2021 report, Public Works Department July 2021 report, Planning Department July 2021 report, and the Police Department July 2021 report. Does any member of council have any questions regarding the consent agenda? Mr. Boardman, you have anything for in regards to any of this?
No, I don't.
All right, Mr. Nern, you have anything?
No.
Mr. Corbett,
I do.
of course, go ahead.
Quick one for stormwater.
Matt?
Are we in the process of getting the fountains, fountains in the ponds getting installed? Where's that?
Yes, sir. I have 2 quotes from electricians. Been trying to get a hold of some other electrical contractors. They're not responding to my emails or phone calls. Already met with Brunswick Electric to find our power to these ponds. And we have 2 vendors that can supply the aeration systems and the fountains. I have these all in a spreadsheet. So it's kind of when you all would like to pull the trigger on it, I can get them to you, show you the numbers and everything by next council meeting.
I guess.
Are you under budget? They've already approved.
Right. So the budget, I believe, was $40,000. Came in over that.
I think the
by
budget
about-
was 90, wasn't it?
I thought we were at
45.
45. You remember for the fountains?
So the electrical work was originally budgeted, I think, at $500 for each service, and it has gone up a lot by that. It's about $1,500 for one contractor. I think the other one was below that, around $1,200 maybe for each service. And then we never actually budgeted. I never put the numbers in for Brunswick Electric for what we'd be getting from them as well.
I think we just, from my point of view, we want to get this done sooner rather than later.
Okay.
And get the ponds taken care of.
Okay.
In regards to that, because I know that was when we first discussed that, I was talking about helping with the mosquitoes. And I just know on a lot of community pages here lately, I've been seeing where it's talking about all the dragonflies that have come up. Is there any truth to that they were released from somewhere? I don't know if it's a county, a state project, or whatever. That's all that's on there right now, is that we're done that to help with the mosquitoes.
Do
you know if there's any truth to that?
I have no knowledge of the dragonflies being released.
I've been asked 4 or 5 emails about it, and I have
noticed,
no idea.
We get into the easements every week and are seeing hundreds of dragonflies around.
Yeah.
Obviously now too, with it being so dry this past summer, I mean, mosquitoes aren't as bad. I mean, they're still going to pop up, but I believe reports that we've gotten that mosquitoes aren't nearly as bad this year.
Good deal. Appreciate it, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Got any more questions, sir?
Actually, I have an alibi on council comments. We just finished Labor Day. It was an extremely busy Labor Day holiday, at least out on the island. So thank you to the police department, fire department, beach patrol, and then Public Works also, who all had very busy weekends out there and did a great job. Thank you.
And also, before we close this part, Joe, you're here for the police department part tonight, right? Had a lot of emails also coming in regards to some happenings in an area in our town that we need to look at. I think I sent the email to Chief, but if not, it'll be something definitely we need to look at to come up with some kind of report as what's going in as far as drugs in this certain area, things like that, just to get a little feel for it for our citizens. So it'll be approached to you within the next few weeks. All right, without anything else, does anybody else have anything with it? Do I have a motion that we close the consent agenda or that we accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Town Administrator report. Mr. Hobbs, this is you, sir.
Yes, sir. I've got a page worth here, but just want to carry you through what's been going on. From my perspective, we spent an awful lot of time the past few weeks working on filling vacancies in the Public Works Department. Dustin and Lisa have been scrambling to cover that, and I think as of today, we may have closed on all that, so we're fully staffed in that shop. Have been working on the COVID-19 business and monitoring that, reviewing policies with staff. Not a little bit of time put into this. I will say that the fire chief has stepped up when I made the suggestion the town could use a COVID czar, because there's just so many things that happen, regulations, ways to address situations. The statistics keep changing. So Paul has agreed to kind of keep an eye on all that for the town as a whole. We've got a whole series of public works projects coming up, and I think that's with the winding down of the beach season, we are winding up public works wise when it comes to construction. You see out here on I think it's Circle Drive, contractors installing a stormwater pipe. It's not a big project, but it is right there at Sunset Boulevard. The town hall parking lot project is, I guess, been awarded. Notice of award's been issued, and we're waiting on the receipt of the contract package from that. The procedure is we send this notice of award, then the contractor prepares contracts that we would then sign, And there's always this business about delays on paperwork and bonds and all that. So that's one of the next things we'll be signing. The hydraulic dredging project is more or less on the same status. We've issued the notice of award, still waiting for the contracts to come back so we can get started on that. Does look like that we'll be using the circuitous route for the disconnected sand offshore with the shortcut easement not coming to pass. So that's where we are on that. The mechanical dredging bids are due on the 15th. We filed revised permit applications. We have all floating sites set up. So hold on to your hat for the 15th because that'll be a watershed date for the whole dredging project. Beach access replacements are being designed for 4 different spots. Bid proposals will due on the 23rd. So we'll, I assume we'll be back to the council for approval of that soon. They're working on easements and procurement for stormwater project number 5. That's streets 27, 28, and 29, if I'm not wrong. That's more or less an in-house design project, but we will have to go through some procurement and so forth on that. A new project for me anyway is this public works yard behind fire station number 2. We're working on generating a list of wishes and needs and so forth, and then would get with consultants to start fleshing out some sort of planning study for that. There's a question about how much land we actually have, the usable land we have back there, and whether everything that we have in our heads will actually fit on that property, but we'll be reporting on that in the next couple of months. A new thing that Councilman Corbett's involved in is this environmental resiliency planning study that the long and short of that, the state has sent us a consultant to work with. What we hope to get out of that are some good project ideas when it comes to flood level rise and so forth. It's be a very public thing with a survey instrument going out here probably within the next month or so. So that'll get some notice and press and probably some discussion at the council. The last project on my list is that this UDO update. Chad has a scheduled with a conversation with the consultant for next week, and so that'll be ramping up soon. So that's what I have, Mr. Mayor. I'd be glad to answer questions.
Does any member of council have any questions for Mr. Hobbs?
I do.
Go ahead, sir.
The stormwater project for 27th, 28th, and 29th over at the beach, is that going to be contracted out or in-house?
I believe we'll have to have contractor help for that. Matt, could you?
Yes, sir. Councilman Nerd. It is going to be contracted out. We have one section from 27th to 28th Street that's 4 empty lots. It's easy to get in, maneuver around. From 28th to 29th Street, it's going to be a little bit more confined. Contractor's going to be able to get in there with the trench box, which we as a town do not have, to make the project go. So we have a couple bids already out on that, and we'll be probably issuing it late September, October, after I get another bid in at least.
So you have a rough idea when the work might be done?
I'm hoping before January, but I know a lot of folks around here, with the Christmas season and everything, there's a lot of days off. So hopefully the beginning of 2022, they'll start and be done obviously before the season starts.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Who's next?
Is that it? All staff, you're welcome to go home. We appreciate each and every one of you. Hate we have to keep you late. Joe, if you need to go, you can go too. I'll bounce us out. All right. Moving on, our old business, Sunset Sound Waves Concert Summary 2021. Ms. Sendai, you and is Tara involved in this or not? I don't know on our paperwork it is. So if y'all both want to come up to the thing. Before you get started, I know I've mentioned this at the last concert, but I just want to tell you, on behalf of the town, we really appreciate all the work that you put into this year. It was absolutely great. We got all our concerts in, didn't miss a one. That's definitely more than any other town around here can say.
Yes.
But you just went over and above, and,
Well,
and so did the
thank
rest
you.
of the staff. But
Yeah.
you've really done good, and I'm proud of you. And glad to call you my friend. I think the world
Thank
of you.
you.
You do an excellent job.
I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. That's why I'm trying to start early. I've gone to Oak Island and other places to hear the new bands and talk to them. And what they've stressed to me is to book early. And so that's why Tara and I presented all this. So I need to, have from y'all about how many concerts you want to do, the price of the bands, because I'm having to pay a little more to get the good bands. I'm having to do that, and if y'all are willing to do that, and how many we want to have, and all of
All
that.
that good stuff.
Yes.
Does any member of council want to start this, or anything in particular you want to discuss on this? As far as even like as the cost of the bands?
This past year, we spent 23.2
Mhm.
on the band. And give us some kind of estimate of what the increase will be.
The cost of our bands has varied. Sendai's done a lot of research on other bands at other towns and gone to other concerts, like she said. And what we had set before was we had some that were coming in at 2,000 or I think even 1,800. But the concerts that have better, it looks like they're between 3,000 and 4,000 for the bands that are, the next step up. It just depends. We can still have a mixture. The basic thing to do would be an average of that, and then how many concerts that you want to do. That's kind of what we're looking at. So what would change the budget is depending on the schedule that council decides they would like to do.
Well,
That's kind of what we're saying, like more of an average, and we just may have to bring the average up a little bit. Our average was around 2,000, 2,500.
Right.
We just may have to bring that average up a little bit. Yeah.
To
I'm
around
fine with that.
$3,000.
I did go see chairman of the board on Saturday night over at Oak Island, and I talked to them, and he said he's been trying to get here, but the price they're $4,000.
Tara, the funds for the concerts come from the accommodations tax?
It's accommodation tax.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Which is
How
what
about-
you and I discussed in regards to some of the other, whether how many we add or as far as the money, as long as we have accommodation tax, with it being used as tourists, which we do promote this as a tourist event because it happens in our 3-month span, then maybe we can look at doing this kind of stuff. Go ahead, John.
The employee expenses, they said are paid out of the departments. I mean, how is that? Most employees, are you out there on overtime, or do we have an overtime cost
So it
that's
it just depends.
we absorb?
So it's more like a comp time.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a paid out expense, which is why it's like kind of hard to
Yeah.
judge how much it
But
is.
if we're able to do it on comp time,
Right.
that it's in the evening time, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and most people take their comp time and it kind of evens out, extra time off type thing.
Let me ask you this. The comp time they get, is it time and a half comp time?
Depends on the employee. So if it's a department head or above, it's hour for hour. If it's like a salaried associate, oh, it's time and a half.
Good.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
So does council want to discuss in regards to as far as the cost, the average cost, or do you want to look at first, basically how many concerts we're looking at having next year?
Well, I think you have to talk about the number of concerts before
Yeah,
you can
let's
talk about how
Go
much.
with the concert first.
Yeah.
I thought we ended up with 11 concerts
Uh-huh.
this time.
And if we started the first Wednesday in June and go to the last Wednesday of August, that would be 14 concerts.
Would you also add a rain date on that September 7th, just in case?
We could,
But
Well, September, that's after Labor Day, right?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. The
have we- if it- well, they've already-
population dropped
if it
really,
rained.
yeah.
If you did a rain
Rain
date,
date.
it wouldn't be an additional cost for an
Yeah.
additional
It would just
concert,
be
Right.
an
unless you
indication.
added another.
Right.
I'm good with 14.
That basically runs from Memorial Day to Labor Day,
Mhm.
so and that is our tourist time
Yeah.
period. So
So the one thing that I do want to mention as for to that is if we do back it up 2 weeks in June of this next season, that will be a budget amendment because we have enough money to start on June 15th. So it would be an additional 2 concerts, which would be roughly 7,000, I would say, which should be fine. I mean,
From our accommodation tax.
it's from the accommodation tax. It's not coming out of general fund. Yeah.
It's manageable.
Maybe I could add just the timing element here. Cinda needs to get a grip on what the council wants to do now so she can start booking her bands.
Yeah.
So it's not just budget, there's a time element to.
And also, I want to mention, I've already talked to the HOA. I've talked to the board up there, and they want me to do the contract as soon as possible. They're not going to go up on the price. They felt that we did a good job this past year of taking care of the property and cleaning up and maintaining, the entrance and everything. And they told me that if it's approved, they would go ahead and sign the contract for next year. In case they had a board changed or whatever, they'd already have it in place.
as far as the advertising, we would do just like we've done this year. The
I think
sign,
so.
basically, I mean, it could go up just a little bit because of cost as far as what's going on right now. But other than that, basically staying in that budget
Yeah,
there.
because we don't need another banner. We did not put a date on our banner, so we can use the same banner next year. It just says Sunset Sound Waves concerts on Wednesdays. It does not have dates on it, so we don't have to get a new banner.
You feel like Waste Industries will again supply trash cans
Oh, yeah.
for us?
Yeah,
So that
not a
shouldn't be a
problem.
problem.
And
The restrooms will go up a little bit though because we'd have them a few times.
yes,
So virtually 3 at that.
Yes.
which, looking at the price of what it costs for 11, it's not going to be significant.
right.
That's roughly 130 a week. So 4 more concerts is.
And really, the only vendor money we had this year was from the icy guy.
Yeah, the Sunset
Correct. So
Flush.
hopefully we could pick
Right.
somebody else up to do
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
and that could potentially go up as getting money. So
Right.
So what is, did we, when we put these back into effect, didn't we set a limit of about 5 vendors?
Yes, I think it was. We had,
Okay.
yeah.
And we still have that
Yeah.
limit? Although we only had one.
Right. And
this
the
year.
problem, a lot of times, just like with the pizza, is that that's their busy time. They do a lot of takeout. They don't have people that they can just come and sit there because of where we are. People get their pizza and stuff like that. And I think the popcorn, Jason at the popcorn guy, I think he does something in Charlotte. So, but we may get, as successful it was, we may get more vendors. And Sunset Slush didn't do our last 2 because they didn't have anybody to run the cart.
If we get the vendors, I think that's good. I'm good. It's a good program.
So we're
Do it
talking
again.
14?
14.
So we're looking at 14 concerts, and as far as the money, basically budgeted about 3,000 per concert. Is that what you're looking at? And that'll give or take. If we get those at 18, I mean,
Right.
hopefully we'll have some money left over. But just to make sure that we can get the good bands, and with you getting them early, we should be able to get some and just
Right.
give them the best we can for what we can.
Yes.
So
And with this, we probably ought to be able to not have to book the same band twice.
Exactly. And that's what I'm hoping. That's why I've been trying to go to concerts and listen to bands. And there's been people that have reached out to me also. So that's what I'm hoping, that we do not have to use the same band unless there's a last minute or something like that.
On that, I have a comment. We had at least one band, they played for 2 hours, was supposed to play continually. And one band took 45-minute break.
Yes.
Well, let's not have them.
I'm trying not to. I remember. Don't worry.
And, and I wouldn't mind the last band we had, the Entertainers.
Entertainers.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind listening to them.
I know they were absolutely. That's why when I saw them over at Oak Island, I knew that I had to try to get them, and they were great. Actually when I went Saturday night to hear Chairman of the Board, they put on a show too. There's one original band member, been with them for 48 years, and they're an older, the beach band and everything, but they put on a great show. They really did, and they didn't take a break either. So,
Do we need a motion?
Any more? You want us to give a motion on this, Lisa, or do we just need to give a direction so she can go ahead and start looking into things, knowing exactly that it is 14 and sort of the budget to get something worked up?
Yeah, just a consensus, because you've already budgeted whatever you're going to do in this
Council is
budget.
here.
Yes.
Everyone's good with it?
We'll just have to do a budget amendment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone seemed to be good with it?
14 events,
Thank you. 14 events.
3,000 per, keep the HOA at 500.
mhm.
I think that's
The
pretty
only
much
other
right.
Drive on.
comment I have is that I know that we want to revisit the nonprofits, so keep that in the back of your mind, because that was something that we had said was that we were going to revisit that for the next year.
Yeah, that's going to be discussed.
That's at the next meeting. We've got it down.
Yeah.
The next
So
meeting,
we can
yeah.
discuss that
It
then.
was in this report.
I think it's on this one. Yeah, it talks
Yeah.
about it
Yeah.
on the 21st.
Okay.
So we'll look into that there. All right, I think everything's good to go. Get it going.
Good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Terry, you can just stay there, hon.
I was thinking
Yeah.
that too.
Next up, down there in our old business is the budget amendment. Number one, for the year 21-22. Ms. Terry, you have this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So this budget amendment is mostly for things that have already been approved. There was an approved purchase for the trailer for stormwater. This is the budget amendment to recognize that. The vehicle purchase in the fire department. The fire department did receive a donation. So to recognize that donation, it was specifically to start a drone program. So this is to recognize the donation and the money in the supplies for the fire department. And then it's also with having the new hire for our town administrator, the travel and expense that come with hiring somebody new. So this recognizes all of that.
City
What is the
Council,
drone?
Are we
got a
allowed
question?
to say who made that donation?
Yes.
Or did they want to
but
stay anonymous?
I don't know that.
Well, it was a very generous donation by former Mayor Ron
Yes.
Watts and his wife Adrian.
Yeah.
So
For
I
the
think
drone?
that there was- I think
$3,000 for
yeah,
the
there
drone.
was-
So that's
They had looked into the
extremely good.
program and saw that the drone program looked like a great thing for the town, and so they wanted to start it with a
Good.
donation.
So they set the standard for you.
Any more member council got anything else to say? I'll match you.
So on the drone, then we're going to have to train someone in the.
It would be Joseph Adams in Beach Patrol.
Okay.
The license for that is minimal.
Yeah, I was going to say they need
Biggest cost.
commercial
It's like
licenses.
$50, I think.
I mean, it's cheap.
Not like
Well,
running a
I
remote
only
control
care
car
about
no
the
more.
money.
Okay.
All right, does anybody else have anything, any questions for or not? If I do we have a motion to accept this budget amendment?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Ms. Terry, and you can go now. I think I've got you took care of. Next up will be our UDO amendment, Article 6, Section 604, Accessory Structures, AF-1. Mr. Stardowski. This is you, sir.
Mayor, Board, thank you. This is an application that includes a modification to the Town of Sunset Beach Unified Development Ordinance regarding accessory structures to residential uses, swimming pools, hot tubs, and privacy fences to residential uses being an allowable use permitted with standards PS in the AF1 Agriculture Forestry Zoning District. I do have the applicant here today, Charles Eddie Walters. He submitted a complete application for a citizen-initiated text amendment. As the Unified Development Ordinance is currently written, accessory structures to residential uses, swimming pools, hot tubs, privacy fences, are not an allowable use in the AF1 zoning district. Making these uses allowable, all parcels located in the AF1 zoning district would be allowed to install these accessory structures and privacy fences. Again, Town of Sunset Beach 2017 Land Use Plan discusses swimming pools, specifically to swimming pools on the island. Policy number 24, swimming pools on the island. Swimming pools shall not be allowed in the BR1 zoning district, so it does not specifically state swimming pools anywhere else in the future land use plan. The future land use plan does classify the AF1 zoning district, futurely classified as low density residential. Listable desirable uses are single family residential uses, and other low density areas that are recognized as AF1 are MR1, MR2, MR2A, MH1, and MH2, all which allow accessory structures, swimming pools, hot tubs, and privacy fences to residential uses. I will note that you do have what the UDO amended would look like in the red with the PS underlined there. The planning board on August 5th, 2021, decided to unanimously recommend approval to these accessory structures and add, again, the application was only to bring forward swimming pools and accessory structures. And then with doing that, the blinders kind of went on, and the planning board recognized that, hey, we need to allow privacy fences and hot tubs being very similar to swimming pools, but also privacy fences because North Carolina Building Code does mandate that you have a fence around your pool. The consistency statement for the council is right there. I do have the applicant if you have any direct questions for him, and I'm here to answer any direct questions from the board.
Do you have any questions, sir?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't have a question, but we discussed this at the August 17th meeting, and I think what we learned is that this was a glitch when we changed the UDO. And so I have a motion.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
One thing I would like to
Go ahead.
add into the discussion, though, is can you clarify, this AF1 is a very small part of Sunset Beach. About how many properties and where are they located, roughly?
Location-wise is as you're going toward Calabash, as you round up on Shoreline.
They're along the intercoastal.
They're along the
aren't they?
intercoastal. There's
Okay.
probably, Eddie, a dozen?
On Peakwood, there are 15 lots. On Schooler Drive, there are about
3 or 4.
maybe about 10 or so.
Yeah, so you're looking at about a couple dozen,
Yeah.
about
So it's not a major area, and it's an area
You're
that
looking
just
at
got
probably
overlooked in the UDO.
a couple
earlier.
dozen
Yeah.
lots, all of them acre. And another thing I did want to justify that this was advertised once at the planning board level, and advertised twice to be able to come before public hearing from y'all as well.
These are in the town limits?
ETJ.
ETJ.
All right, so we got a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Chad.
Do we have to read this land use bit?
Yes, if you will read the land use plan and make a motion as well, please. I mean, the consistency statement, I'm sorry.
Is that from the town council summary?
Yes. It should be the last page in that.
Yeah.
There's a planning board one just north of it summarizing, and
Talking about the now therefore
Yeah.
be it ordained. Ian,
No, the town council summary.
this one. Okay. Read that one. Gotcha. All right. Put my glasses on so I can see it. All right, Town Council Summary, Action C. The Town Council hereby adopts the proposed amendments to the United Development Ordinance and finds that it is neither consistent nor inconsistent with the Town Comprehensive Plan 2017 Town of Sunset Beach Land Use Plan because it is silent on location of swimming pools except stated specifically for swimming pools not to be allowed use in the BR1 zoning district and finds that according to the land use plan that in the classification of low density residential application uses, AF1 is the only zoning district to not have swimming pools as an allowable use. D is the town council hereby denies the proposed agreement.
No, we don't.
That is
No,
it.
no.
That was the proposal. You either was for it or not against it. We are
that was
for
all.
it. Yeah. But I won't read the rest of it. Thank you, John. But anyway, that's the one that we got. That'll be the one that is on the motion. That is the one that got the second, and that'll be the one that everybody out on.
All right.
So it'll be signed off to the approval.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Next up is the Ordinance 9815 Amendment, Construction Standards and Specs. And this is just for the council's consideration. The proposed ordinance amendment for Chapter 98 titled Specifications and Design Standards of Streets, Sidewalks, and Driveways. Subsection 9815 titled Construction Standards and Specifications. It is all attached into this. Go ahead, sir. You got something to say about it?
It's only due to change the thickness of the aggregate, that's the ABC, and change the thickness of the asphalt. From the binder, we're going away from the binder to the 9.5 B.
Does any member of council have any questions? Or
And this is just to bring our standards in line with the NCDOT standards?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, and plus what's being made at the asphalt plants right now.
Okay. Does this have any impact on local developments that are underway?
No, because after you adopt this, anything moving forth would have to go by this plan here.
And those will meet all the
Yes.
codes that we need?
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Anything else? Y'all got anything? All right.
Nope, John asked my question, so.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept this ordinance amendment to Chapter 98?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you.
Next up, COVID-19 protocols and draft plan. Mr. Hobbs, you've got this one together for us.
Yes, sir. At the last town council meeting, I agreed to come up with a game plan for addressing the pandemic. And our approach would be depending on the severity of the crisis at any given point in time. So my approach was to write up what we would do for several different scenarios while trying to maintain some flexibility as conditions change, as of course they have the past 2 years. So develop 5 scenarios ranging from a no pandemic status to widespread infection status with some potentially emergency declarations by state or federal government. My concept is we're currently in state 4 as I define it, and that's plan and prepare mode. The question might be whether we've crossed the line into state 3, and that's pre-emergency preparation mode, but that's we could have a debate on that if you'd like. So with my program, depending on what state we're in, I have 4 categories of protocols that address employee practices, town facilities and assembly events, and what we would do in the case there is a state of emergency declared. So while we're in the middle of this, we came across the idea that we could be clearer in town policies when it comes to if an employee is exposed, when do we require testing? If he tests positive, what do we do? And then what are the rules for when it comes back to work? So some of that's woven into the package as well. And that all follows current CDC guidance. So my proposal and request for the council this evening is if you could send any comments you have on how the documents could be improved. It's intended to be a living document. We'll move and change as circumstances require. And then implementation would be based on the mayor's discretion when it comes to states of emergency and management discretion when it comes to adjusting the program and all that. Because again, this thing is going to move and there's going to be better ideas. Circumstances are going to change as we move forward. And the last comment I have is there's this issue about mandating masks in the town hall. The council certainly has the authority to do that, or for that matter, come up with any number of alternatives to what I presented. So I'll be glad to answer questions if you have them, and be glad to take good suggestions in particular.
Does any member of council have anything they want to address with him tonight?
Just to be clear, this is for us to study, look at, and then get back to you with.
If you, I suppose I could take it as if absent instructions otherwise, here's what we're going to do. Be glad to take adjustments from or instructions from the council at any point in the future as well.
I think it's a good starting point. I'm not quite ready to say this would be a go as a policy. A fundamental question, for example, is in the pandemic conditions on the chart, you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 is pretty easy, and 1 and 2 are pretty easy. You've got formal states of emergency, but going from 4 and 3, defining what condition 3 is in my mind subject to question. If you're saying we're in condition 4 right now, is that correct?
My opinion, we're in condition 4, yes.
Okay, well, my opinion, we're in condition 3.
Yes.
And condition 3, it goes into, the number of cases, the kind of problems that the hospitals have, what the state of the environment is. I mean, and that's just an area that I think we need to probably be a little bit more precise in determining what defines 3 and 4. And I don't have an answer to what defines it right now to do that.
Could I recommend putting this on the 21st agenda after you've all had a chance to review it?
Yeah.
Give Mr. Hobbs your recommendation for
Put it on
changes, and you can look at it again.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Bowen, you have anything? Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
And it's good to have a plan written out. Last time we were sort of taken by surprise, and we played it as it went. And I will say it worked well. I forget the low number that we had in our zip code of infections, but I think a lot of that was due to the fact that a lot of our citizens here got the injections and wore masks. So with this plan, I would think we'd do better than last time, if it comes to that.
Mr. Bowen, you have anything?
Yes. So I agree with John. I think that we're in a more serious condition. Things are different now than it was initially when we first evaluated what we should be doing for the pandemic. There's more of a acceptance, I think, of things these days. But from what I see out there, it's starting to become pretty worrisome to me. Personally, I know people that have been vaccinated that have come down with COVID because of the new variant, and was hearing today that the insurance companies are now going to treat a COVID as a regular illness. So in terms of what it's going to cost the resident if they have to be admitted to the hospital, now becomes a different situation than we had previously where everything was covered. So I think we are in a different situation now than we were 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. Things seem to be getting worse. Hopefully that trend doesn't continue, but it is concerning to me.
Anyone else got anything they want to discuss tonight?
As we think about where we're going to go and talk about next time, some of the things that I'm kind of curious about is, like, what does the town do now in terms of reporting active COVID cases? what do we know? What do we do? How do we warn our staff and what goes on? And what goes on then as we try to protect privacy and stuff in terms of reporting the possible exposure to a COVID case and in the subsequent quarantine. I went through some of this, but it looks like if I walked in and thought that I had direct close contact with somebody who had COVID and I was on the town staff, that I would immediately go into a 14-day quarantine. And there would be a series of procedures when the symptoms stopped, when I got tested again, and then who I reported to before I came back to work. And that stuff is really not, it didn't jump out at me as clear yet. There's one item in the plan that talks about if somebody has used up all of their leave time, their medical time, the insurance or costs that we have, that we can, that the department head can give them administrative leave and administrative paid leave. And as department head where we would want that type of authority, that's a pretty strong piece of authority that I kind of think should stay up at the town administrator. We kind of should need to consider what is being done re-vaccinations. And mask. If people are not vaccinated. Right now, it's completely an honor system. If you go inside a closed building, whether you wear your mask or you don't wear a mask. And so I think we should address what kind of terms we should have on that. I think the town should be very strong in encouraging all staff to be vaccinated.
I agree.
That's a critical thing, unless they really have a strong, documentable religious or health reason not to get vaccinated. That's the one thing that seems to be the constant in terms of contributing to slow down the spread of COVID. So I would like to look at this more carefully. It's a complex document. I like the charts and the various actions. There's discussion about what actions should be taken in which stage and how to do that. And so I'd like all of us to think about that before we come back together for the next meeting and talk about it.
Agree.
And hopefully the situation won't be more serious than it is right now.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to new business. The League of Women Voters Facility Request for Candidates Form. Mrs. Linda, is it Rudick? Rudick? Yes, ma'am. You have the floor.
Okay. You should all have a document that I wrote up on Jack Hobbs' suggestion, starting out with there are 7 candidates, etc. And I have 2 goals. One goal is to have all of the candidates being available and giving their views on their candidacy to anyone who wishes to observe that. And number 2, to not do a large indoor meeting or forum, but to do it via the same venue as we do now. We have a recording, we have a YouTube streaming, and if we do that, then we can avoid having a group of observers in close proximity. I believe it would be fair because it could be hosted by or moderated by the League of Women Voters. They have one date available, October 13th. Earlier in October, they're already occupied with Oak Island, Southport, Leland, and Boiling Spring Lakes. So they would set up a specific email address for the public to submit questions. They would go to the League of Women Voters, and then during the forum, there would be a rotation for the first person to answer any question. This is posted on your agenda as a request for the space, for the council community
Chambers.
here. And also, I would like perhaps to ask if we can maybe support the use of our videographer here. Spoken with Alan, there would be a charge. I don't know if the town would want to pay any of that or all of that. If not, I'm not part of a group. Maybe I'd do a GoFundMe page or talk to my friends. I don't want it to be partisan. And I'm willing to listen to any suggestions you may have.
So would this be where each of the candidates would just make a statement about what their positions are, or would it be more where all the candidates are together?
All the candidates would be here. League of Women Voters would be the moderator. They would have received questions from the public beforehand through an email.
Okay.
And I'm imagining everybody would get a set time for introductions. Then question 1 would go to seat 1 and go through. And then question 2 would start with seat 2 and go through, and so on. And then probably closing statement.
Okay.
And I talked with Alan a little bit about numbers. There's a concern how many people actually have gotten into the routine of dialing in or actually activating the streaming and observe the town council meetings or any other events. And those numbers can vary widely, but I would have an intent to publish this in the Beacon, on the town site, maybe through the town's distribution list, through Friends of Sunset Beach Facebook page, next door, any newsletter that any of the subdivisions would put out between now and October 13th. And it's just an attempt to be fair to all candidates and all citizens.
Understood.
If I could add something, the League of Women Voters had the booth at Sunset. This is their second time doing that. So at their booth on October 2nd, they would be permitted to announce this event, because that would not be electioneering by an individual, but if someone asked them a question, they could answer the question.
Yes, John.
I'm one of the candidates, and I think it's very appropriate to have a nonpartisan organization host an event, ask the questions, moderate it, and introduce all of the candidates to the community. The last time that I am aware of it happening in this town was in 2015 elections. It did not happen in 2017. It didn't happen in 2019.
The last time
No.
it was done by an outside organization was when I ran in 2011.
That was after that. There was one in this building over here about 2015 or so.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right. There
yeah,
was.
yeah. But I
Sea
think
Trail used to host them, and the Beacon also used to sponsor them.
Yes.
Those two avenues are not currently available to my mind.
the concern I have is both Councilman Nern and myself are running against other candidates. Mayor Phillips is not. but to have us sitting up here at our home base might look like a special advantage to us. So I would prefer to do this at a more neutral location. And one option is in our fire station, where we have had meetings before. We had a public meeting in November, and it's been demonstrated that our audiovisual capability can be set up in that location. Still have limited, not to open it up to the public, to follow the rules that you said. Speakers, we could be spread out. Questions could be asked. It'd be on YouTube, and I assume the YouTube would stay around so people could look
Yes,
at it for the next several months.
Yes, it
And I
would be
think that would accomplish most of what you're trying to accomplish,
Well,
except the comfort of this particular podium.
well, I did address that with the League of Women Voters, and they said what they're moderating are all contested elections, and yet they do use they use wherever the councils meet. If it's a community center, they'll host it there. If it's chambers like this, they'll host it at the chambers. I'm sure they'll be happy to go wherever it is we would like to have it, but I personally wouldn't suggest the fire station. If you think that's viable, I don't know if we need buy-in from the fire chief.
Anybody else have comments?
The only comment I've got to ask, and it's nothing to do with anything, but my deal is regards to us paying for the video thing, with that being something that is an election. How would that pan out through us? I mean, I don't know about that.
I suppose the council could agree to pay it, but the more better way would be for their group to reimburse the cost for that. And I don't know what the charge is, but we'd run that through the town's books.
The reason I ask that is just you've got, 7 candidates running for council. Well, if 2 of them don't come, they're going to say, but they've wasted that money, or they've used our town's money to do something that we wasn't able to come to, or whatever. And I don't want it to come down to that, to that part.
Well, if you don't want to, I mean, I could, if the council says
Well, it's
no.
not that I don't want to. I was just asking. I was asking that question for that. Yeah.
Then I'll put a little cup outside my house.
That's what I was just asking. As a government entity doing that, paying for something like that was tied into election, how would that fill back in as far as rules and violations?
I would recommend that you allow Mr. Hobbs to talk to Tara to make sure that we are not violating some law by doing that. It would be a lot cleaner if the League of Women Voters would contract with Allen themselves to keep the town completely out of it. But you could ask Tara to see if we are breaking any laws.
That's all.
If that's what you want to look at doing.
So that would be something probably that needs to be done right off the get-go before we can give any regards to whether, we would be able to help with that, or the town, not we, but the town would be able to help with that.
So I see 2 situations. One is the chambers available or an alternate site? A vote on that. And then secondly, if you want to underwrite anything, would be a second question. I didn't put it in here because it didn't occur to me.
Well, I think having it here would at least look to some people like it was giving John and I an advantage. I don't want people to even have the thought of that impression. I think the fire department would be much better, but I think that's still town property. I would think finding some other place would be the best, and it seemed to me to be the fairest for all 7 of us.
I think we've used the fire department before for pretty neutral locations. I mean, we've had, as I said, either Veterans and Memorial Day ceremonies in there. We've had the public meetings in there. The fire department doesn't have the signs and all the vestiges of the town council right there. That's
we
my
could
view.
take that down. We could take that down and move the flags, you know, I mean,
We're not moving any flags.
or maybe we put all the candidates over there. So you don't even know, or maybe we have the candidates in the next room.
I think
What I would like to do is have the recommended council agree to support this, that we have it, and then let
Work out
the
details.
town administrator and staff work out where the town wants to host the location to be, and then look at the legalities of what can be done, whether the town pays for the audio-visual support, or whether League of Women's Voters has to raise the money outside to do that.
Well, the one attractive thing to me about the chambers or that room or switching it around in that direction is that I'm assuming the charge would be 0. And so,
Well, the fire department's free too,
yeah,
so. But I think we can leave that. I'm comfortable with leaving with the town staff, but I don't know. Maybe Tom can make a motion if you agree with this.
Yes, I
just
agree.
to support this event. And-
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable event to have. I think it would be informative to all the people that have to vote. So yes, I would make a motion that the town would support having a symposium with all 7 candidates to air their views and to answer questions.
the only amendment there would be Barbara Burrell from the League of Women Voters noticed that Shannon Phillips has no opponent. So she said you could vote to include him or not include him. But, you know, it would be up to you all.
Oh, keep him out.
Yeah, you keep me out. Since it's on a Wednesday and my work schedule, it might be better to keep me out. I take Mondays and Tuesdays to make sure I can be here. But either way, I mean, I would still come to the event and be there. But I mean, I think that definite with the 7 candidates up, the focus needs to be on them so people can hear where they're standing on things.
Sure.
So was that a motion that I made, or?
You basically made a motion to allow them to have an event or
Sure.
to look into what they think. So that would be the motion. Someone have a second,
Second.
and then all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
And then that just gives you basically that we're looking into moving forward with that and get with the town staff and they'll decide the location and find out about the legalities of the videos and that kind of stuff and go from there.
Thank you so
Okay.
much. I
Thank you for
appreciate
coming
it.
out tonight. Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the initiative to do this.
All right. Next up, we have the proclamation for the 9/11 Day of Remembrance. In advance of this, the council is considered to request to consider adoption of the attached proclamation. The proclamation reads as Proclamation 9/11 Day of Remembrance 20th Anniversary. Whereas in an unprovoked and senseless act of terrorism, 4 civilian aircraft were hijacked on September the 11th, 2001, and crashed in New York City, Pennsylvania, and the Pentagon, resulting in a momentary loss of innocent U.S. lives of all heritages. And whereas, while we still continue to recover from the loss of innocent lives, the spirit of the U.S. has been revitalized, giving way to expression of patriotism. And whereas, inspired by the heroism of our nation's public service personnel, military service members, and countless volunteers, our nation found unity and strength. And whereas from the tragedy of the September 11th emerged a stronger nation, renewed the spirit of national pride, and a true love of country. And whereas Americans also fought back against terror by choosing to overcome evil with good by loving thy neighbor as they would like to be loved, contributing to relief efforts and volunteering their times to aid those in need. Now, therefore, being it proclaimed that we, the Town Council of Sunset Beach, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim September the 11th, 2021 as the 20th anniversary of the attacks of 9/11 and also the 9/11 National Day of Service and Remembrance in the town of Sunset Beach, North Carolina, County of Brunswick, and urge our citizens to recognize the heroism of firefighters, rescue and law enforcement personnel, military service members, and the many volunteers who responded to these tragic events with courage, selfless compassion, determination, and skill, and to remember the victims and innocent lives lost as a result of the tragic events on September the 11th, 2001. This will be coming in, this would be signed and be for the 7th day of September 2021, which is tonight. And does any member of council have anything to add to this, or
I move that we adopt this proclamation.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. And then also, this was just received in the mail this week. I won't read the proclamation on this yet to make sure we get to where we're at. But this comes from the National Society Daughters of American Revolution. They petitioned Congress for a resolution this week of each year for the observance of the foundation of the American form of government was signed into law by President Dwight D. Eisenhower on August the 2nd, 1956. The week would be September 17th through the 23rd would be the Constitutional Week. The commitment of the NSDAR is to encourage study and education the public about the Constitution, which was adopted by the American Congress of the Confederation on September 17, 1787. The Constitution is a living document that assures each citizen the rights and freedoms Americans cherish and appreciate. And then, of course, it just goes on to say that they have included the thing and asked for official seal, and that we would consider adopting this and making this a proclamation. Does any member of council have any questions about this?
No questions.
Do I have a motion that we'll sign this proclamation?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Up next is our disposition of directives for our September 21, 2021 meeting. We have a few on there. We'll put the COVID discussion further on that one. Does any member of council have anything else that needs to be added to this?
No.
Are we getting to the point we're going to have an audit report yet? Do we have to schedule one? Or
They finished their field work, but they haven't sent us their
okay.
report yet.
It'll be December when they come to report. They have to present it to the state by, I think, October 31st.
Okay. So it'll be a Christmas present for us?
Mhm.
Okay.
All right. There's nothing else. Public comments on agenda items? I don't think we have anything. Do I have a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.